Hi, and welcome to Sustainably Smart Talks. I'm your host, AJ Makarapur, and today I'm joined by my guest, Pranesh Kannappan. He's a doctoral researcher at Loughborough University, and please, Pranesh, please tell us a little bit about your background, your journey so far.
Hi there, my name is Pranesh Kannappan and I did my bachelor's in civil engineering at Anna University in India, and I did my master's in geo-environmental engineering from Cardiff University, and I am doing my doctoral research at Loughborough University in School of Building Architecture and Civil Engineering.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, Pranesh, what made you choose civil engineering, and where do you see this project going in the future?
So basically, when I start my bachelor's in civil engineering, basically my dad is an building engineer. So basically, with that as a base, I started as an civil engineer, and then my interest just went niche towards environmental engineering. During my bachelor's, I was doing the anaerobic digesters and some innovative patents regarding the solid waste disposals, especially the bio incinerators and my basically all my bachelor's things was niche towards the environmental engineering. Then I took my master's in geo-environmental engineering from Cardiff,
Okay.
and it was a really very good exposure. And then finally I landed into doctoral research at Loughborough University based on renewable energy from the waste.
Yes, indeed. Was there a moment that sparked your interest in renewable energy?
So basically, during my bachelor's, I started with biogas digester, which is just a small scale level. And basically, what we did is we took an whole village in Coimbatore city in Tamil Nadu in India, and then we installed like nearly 10 biogas digesters.
Yes,
So
indeed.
one in the municipal building, and like couple of them in the houses, and rest in the public sanitary places. And from that it started. We started with an incinerator, and then we went into a biogas digester in a very small scale level. And in my masters, to be honest, I didn't have any knowledge about this. Again, I will be going into the biogas digester or something like that now.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so basically, if I'm not wrong, by February or March I was just looking for the next job opportunities for my career, and then Loughborough University's advertisement got me in touch with regarding the renewable energy from waste, and especially with the biomass and all these things.
Yes, indeed.
Then it interconnected me with my bachelor's project, which was basically a small scale biogas digester,
Yes,
and
indeed.
which is now I'm doing it in a big scale.
Yes, indeed. Well, can you explain anaerobic digestion and how it works in simple terms?
Perfect. So yeah, I'm not going very technically inside that. So basically anaerobic digestion. So digestion, which means every human and every living organism have a digestion system.
Yes,
For
indeed.
example, if we take us, so we eat food, it get digested, and we excrete the waste, and that turns into an energy. So it's the same process, but the main process of the anaerobic digestion, which stands for all the digestion happens at without the presence of oxygen, whereas we need oxygen,
Yes,
whereas
indeed.
that doesn't require oxygen. So basically, and digestion without oxygen under specific condition of heat. For example, there are two phases: mesophilic, thermophilic. So mesophilic is 35 degree to 55 degrees.
Hmm.
And so yeah, basically anaerobic digestion is where a digestion happens without the presence of oxygen.
Yes, indeed. Your specific research group works on microbubble plasma pretreatment.
So yeah, basically there are a lot of feedstocks which we take for anaerobic digestion. For example, how we eat food, we drink, we have a lot of food habits. Like
Yes,
that
indeed.
anaerobic digestion will accept certain things of food as a feedstock in
Yes,
order to
indeed.
produce an energy. So basically, it's called as an organic matter. For example, for solar energy, we need sun, and for wind energy, we need wind,
Yes, indeed.
and for um, bioenergy, which I am concerned of, that require organic matter. So that organic matter is the feedstock of this.
Yes, indeed.
So why I'm doing this microbubble plasma pre-treatment is because the potential of the waste is being restricted by the anaerobic digestion
Okay.
due to a content called lignin. So basically this is the microbes which
Okay.
needs an access by the microbes to eat the energy and convert that into energy. There is an bound called lignin.
Yes,
So
indeed.
lignin just bound that, and we need to break this lignin in order
Okay.
for the microbes to reach into that.
Okay.
So in order to break that, there are different types of pre-treatments which we can say, like mechanical pre-treatment, chemical pre-treatment, biological pre-treatment, thermal pre-treatment, plasma pre-treatment, like this. And I have chosen plasma pre-treatment because it's widely available and it's the fourth largest state, I mean, liquid, water, gas, and next comes the plasma. So that is widely available.
Yes, indeed.
And also, why is I am choosing with microbubble as per your question is because in my reactor, we have a plasma reactor which was already developed by my supervisor, Dr. Hemaka. And then basically how it happens is we give the air into that compressed air. Yes. It can be air or any feed gas. It can be argon, it can be oxygen. I mean, not oxygen, it will burn, but any other compressed air. So what I am using is a compressed air. So the compressed air comes inside, and with an solid oscillator, the compressor comes in. Why are we using the solid oscillator is because so the air comes here, it will be like a V shaped, so it diverts the air and gives the larger size of microbubbles into smaller size of microbubbles.
Okay. So what would you say, what kind of waste is ideal for this process?
So basically many industries are now already going with food waste.
Okay.
And many other waste like agricultural residues, agricultural straws and everything. And what I am concentrating is with the biomass. Okay. So the biomass which I have chosen is, which was grown on a marginal land. So what is that? So basically that land is contaminated. It was an old landfill, okay, which was covered, and then all the sewage sludge has been, all the sewage sludge has been poured into that, and now the maize plant has been grown in that. So that is not, edible for us because it is non-agricultural plant, which we say. And so that plant I am just taking into my experimentation. So I am pre-treating, breaking the lignin, and then putting into the biomass. Okay. Putting into the anaerobic digestion.
Yes. Hypothetically, would you say then food waste could power up a city in terms of energy production?
Yeah, because the accessible in the anaerobic digestion, okay, from the microbes to the food waste is quite easy because there is no bound or there is no barrier which hinders that food energy, okay, to convert into an biogas. However, if we take in biomass, it is hindered by the content called lignin. So basically the plant biomass is made up of three types: cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. Okay. So this cellulose and hemicellulose is where the microbes eat and produce the biogas. But this is now hindered by the lignin. Now we need to break this lignin. Whereas in food waste, you don't need to break the lignin. There will be a lignin content, but you don't need to break in order for the microbes to eat the cellulose.
Okay.
So here we need to break it and then ask the cellulose to eat it. Or else this marginal land produced maize will just go into waste. But it has high organic content. However, it just end up in the landfill, which causes methane and produce lot of methane around the where the places are there, and it also affects the environment.
Yes, indeed. So how would you make this approach more sustainable?
Are you asking about the pre-treatment technology, how to make sustainable? So basically here we are not using any chemicals priorly. Okay. So first we started with tap water, how the pre-treatment works with the biomass. Okay. Further, we made it into a little bit of adding and chemical reagent and see how it works with, maybe for example, buffering into the pHs, how it works with an acidic pH, how it's work with an basic pH, how it's work with a neutral pH. And then from that we came to a conclusion like how it should be going. So basically there is no generation of any waste in this, because in all the pre-treatment, for example, if you take chemical pre-treatment, we pre-treat the biomass with chemicals, and again we produce another chemical, and again that should be pre-treated in order to leave it to the environment. Whereas in here, there is no need of any pre-treatment or any further treatment required for the thing.
So what challenges have you faced in scaling or experimenting?
Yeah, so basically our reactor is a 1 liter reactor for the pre-treatment, whereas biogas digestion, which is an anaerobic digestion, it's already scaled up, which is we are doing at 10 liters, the thing. But the problem which we are facing with upscaling of this reactor, we have designed a small reactor because it is made up of electrodes and there is a plasma. The technology is simple, but still it needed to be scaled up. And the problem is limiting is a large amount of electrodes is required,
Okay.
whereas when we convert into energy again, it's a large space required as well.
Yes, indeed. So how close are we to making this commercially viable?
Basically, we didn't think about that still because we are just at achieving, I mean, less than 50 percentage of the biogas improvement with the pre-treated and unpre-treated. So first definite we need to fit which which treatment is very good and which optimal condition is good for the pre-treatment,
Yes,
and
indeed.
then we need to
Yes,
move
indeed.
across
In
the.
terms of like adoption, what are the barriers in maybe low resources countries or low resource settings?
It's basically low resource setting, I would say, because there are a lot of startups with
Okay.
plasma only pre-treatments, but there are limitation for microbubble plasma because it requires a fluidic oscillator, which fluidic oscillator principle is very simple, but yeah, when we go into deep, it's lot. So first thing is like investment is required for this. Operational cost is less, but the investment cost is more.
Yes, indeed. So what are the potential industrial applications?
When it comes to industrial application, there are many chemical reaction which is already been published. I mean, which is already been running in the industry. However, this if this needed to be commercialized, first thing is we cannot treat that much of biomass at once
Okay.
because it should run inside the reactor. And next is the first we need to set which optimal condition suits this type of pre-treatment because it produces lot of reactive oxygen species, reactive nitrogen species, lot of species has been produced. So first we need to know which one fits that and which one gives more energy, and then after that we can scale up this process into a higher.
Yes, indeed. And you combine this with Fentin treatment.
Yeah, so as I said, basically we started just with the tap water and we got like nearly 18% improvement in the biogas yield.
Okay.
However, this is not directly represent to the pre-treatment. It also based on the anaerobic digestion conditions and everything. And then when we mixed up with Fenton reagent, then we tried Fenton reagent at different molar ratios and different durations. And then when we found it has produced nearly approximately 30% increase.
Yes,
So which
indeed.
is nearly a twofold. I mean, when we convert this into just Fenton reagent, and Fenton reagent is nothing. We are just adding the iron salt with the hydrogen peroxide and making it a more oxidative. Why are we using this Fenton reagent is basically the plasma reactor gives us reactive oxygen species,
Yes, indeed.
which is mainly based on the oxidative efficiency.
Yes,
So
indeed.
when this Fenton reagent added into the plasma reactor, automatically the oxidation content and the oxidation efficiency will get increased. So that is why we are adding Fenton reagent into the plasma. Again, this is just a trial we have started up with. Then it should go beyond more.
Yes, indeed. So how does this play a role in achieving net zero?
So basically, when you use a Fenton reagent or any reagent in the plasma pre-treatment, basically we will pre-treat and extract that extract that. There will be two. One will be the solid, that will be the biomass, and the liquid will be the pre-treated solution. So basically this pre-treated biomass will be acting as a feedstock for the anaerobic digestion.
Yes, indeed.
And when it goes in this way, so anaerobic digestion digests and gives out the digestate. Then after digestate is very high in nutrients and it can go directly as a fertilizer to the agricultural fields. Whereas when we come into the liquid phase can be fractionized and then we can condense and then we can extract the lignin with that is soluble in this thing, and the lignin can be used in many paper industries and other things. And again, the reuse of this Fenton reagent for the next forthcoming pre-treatments is being explored, but not to the higher level. But if that is the case, then the water reduction and also the reuse of the Fenton reagent will come into the place, which will obviously come into the net zero target.
Yes, indeed.
And also the energy input, for example, if we take like it is approximately uh, 2 megajoules if the per kg biomass if the reactor takes, but we are gaining energy of 7. So obviously we are around 6 to 7 megajoules per kg we
Yes,
are getting
indeed.
as an energy.
So, what would you say? Why is waste to energy? Why is that important at this stage of
At this stage, because if these plants end up in the landfill, so the waste going always to the landfill, that's it. It gets buried, it produces methane, that's it. But that methane is very, very hazardous to the environment
yes,
or and the
indeed, yes,
locality.
indeed it
And
is.
that increases the greenhouse gas effect as well. Whereas we take that, it has a high organic content. We are pre-treating, putting them into the anaerobic digestion, and then we are producing the biogas. And this biogas can be compressed and used as a biofuel and many other resources.
How do you see this benefit in places in the global south, such as India, Africa, etc.?
So basically, in India, many of the villages they just use the cow dung as an inoculum. We use here inoculum, which is from the industry, but they use the cow dung. So from that, so that as a major inoculate for an anaerobic biogas digester.
Okay.
And many of the houses are producing the gas from this, but in a very, very low level. If this becomes and massive scale like developed countries in Europe, UK, and America, of course, if India or any other developing countries install this, obviously they can have their own energy from the waste. For example, if we take Germany, they are just planting the crops for this energy producing thing.
Yes, indeed.
So if the developing countries also look into these options, obviously there will be no scarcity for energy, and also the waste management will be enhanced.
Yes, indeed. Well, you almost at the completion of your PhD now. Tell me about your PhD. What's been the hardest thing about doing a PhD?
Basically, the hardest thing here I faced is when you start an experiment, always we face like at least 10 times failure, because the reactor, then again the anaerobic digestion. So the reactor is entirely electrical and chemical side,
Yes, indeed.
and my anaerobic digestion is entirely biological side. And basically, I'm not in the same department. So if you take my one lab and one department is in civil, and the second one is in chemical, the third one is in electrical, and also I have 3 supervisors from different 3 departments. However, taking the samples from here, going there, going here, and if any one thing got struck, the rest everything will be get. It's all looped. If one lab work is not done on that day, the next day this labs won't work.
Yes,
Again,
indeed.
I need to start from the first. A lot of failures because there will be gas leaks, there will be water leaks, there will be membrane issues, and lot of things we have faced. But yeah, I mean that is research, right?
Yes, I agree with that. But
Yeah.
how do you stay motivated through these long experiments and technical failures?
I know, because if there is a pre-treatment, there should be an enhancement in biogas. So basically, I start, okay, I had a plan B. What if this doesn't accept by the biological microbes, and if that doesn't gives the bioenergy? So if that is the case, then again with this pre-treatment, there will be an lignin disruption, which we can yield the sugar yields from that.
Yes,
We can
indeed.
produce sugar yield and we can produce hydrogen from that. Lot of other options are there, but however, with God's grace or lucky thing, it went in a good way that
Yes,
biogas
indeed.
has been produced.
But any failures you maybe are grateful for? Any failures?
Yeah, a lot. Basically, when we start with the durations, for example, however, I thought all the pre-treatment which is going with longer period will give more energy. But however, it was failure in my case. The shorter period gave the good result, whereas a longer period gave. So first I started with the longer periods,
Okay.
and it was a failure. Then I reduced 1 hour. Then it showed me an improvement. Then again I reduced more. Then it showed me more improvement. So that is because this was not explored by many people with the biomass. This was being explored by my previous group members with one type of biomass, but not the maize or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you, Pranesh. Well, what's next for you, Pranesh?
Um, Next, I am just trying to be upscaling this in a different model with a different feedstock, and I'm just searching the opportunities for the postdoctoral or research fellow positions. And then after again scaling up this, then my main aim is to have a startup and then go into industry side. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So, any advice for young people navigating their purpose?
Uh, yeah, so just follow the 3 R's: reuse, reproduce, recycle it. So everything which we use, even in this room or anywhere else, is having many types of degradability and many types of other opportunities which it can be reused. So when you put it into a dustbin, everywhere we can see general waste, composting waste. So try to put it into a correct one,
Yes,
because many
indeed.
people outside are segregating that. And whenever you use something, just think about it: how much energy has been invested to produce this water bottle. Maybe if you take water bottle, how much energy is required. So when you dispose it in a correct way, so that it can be reused
Yes,
and
indeed.
reproduced in future.
Yes, indeed. Anything that you're hopeful about the future?
I hope, of course, all the countries, not only UK or India or countries, all the developed countries and developing countries are moving towards the net zero target
Okay.
and carbon emission, and especially with the climate change which you are facing now. And hopefully, this all should be sorted out only when we start thinking about what we use, how we use, and whether it is necessary to use.
Yes,
If it
indeed.
is not necessary, don't buy it. If it is necessary, then buy it and try to make it as a reuse or reproducible.
Yes, indeed. Well, where can people follow you and your work?
Basically, the researchers who are happy or who are very keen on working with anaerobic digestion with biomass, or even with hot lignin content or high lignosensis biomass, can see this approach, or they can go with other pre-treatments as well. But why we are thinking this is it has minimal, waste generation, and there is no need of pre-treating or dealing with the post-treatment waste or something.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Any final words to the viewers?
Yeah, as I said, be very concerned of what you use and think whether it is needed to be used or not. If it is not necessary, it's not required. Whatever the things you buy, think about it, how it can be reused, or whether this is needed or not. That's what the main point. If it is needed, as of course it's needed. But for luxury, we are getting something and we are just disposing, and that takes years and years to degrade. And whenever you put it into the dustbin, please be mindful whether it can be recycled or reproduced, then put it into that bins.
Yes, definitely. Well, from waste to wisdom, well, Pranesh has shared with us his journey from bioenergy and purpose. Well, this has been another episode of Sustainably Smart Talks. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you, Pranesh, for your
Thank you
time.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Pleasure. Cool. That was 20 minutes. Perfect. Good up.